Hello everybody, Andrew Casey at Hypersanity Books for Kids. Today I'll be doing a shout out to Book Chat with Pat. Love her channel, just made contact, and in her honour I'm doing the Girl Scout cookie tag. Otherwise, I'll leave a link to her channel at the end of the video, and for now, let's get into it. Number 1. A classic novel you love. Well, for this one I'm going to choose Almonds with rocks through the almonds, because sometimes that happens when almonds are collected and rocks and sticks get caught into it. But we're saying rocks for this case because of Rock Biter, or in the book it's actually called Rock Chewer.
They look like big, good, strong hands, don't they?
And his name, which is part of the story, is actually naming characters, is Cairo Renzarak for Rockbiter from The Never-Ending Story. A fantastic read. I love this book. My son bought it for me. Leather-bound book. It's got the little tab at the base. The Never-Ending Story is a classic. I will be reviewing it on this channel in 2 parts, because part 1 is what we know from the first movie. But the second part, the second movie didn't live up to what the book was. It was a huge letdown. And there are so many points, especially when you look at mental health within the age group. It's still age appropriate, being for middle grade readers, but a fantastic adventure. This is one book I recommend everyone reads as the number 1 fantasy book I recommend. Question 2. A book you find inspiring. And for a cookie, I'm going to choose Raspberry Cheesecake Cookies. So with the book I recommend, Hypersanity by Dr. Neil Burden. It's a non-fiction book, and we actually inspired the business partially from the terminology hypersanity, the Joker. There's a lot of interpretations to hypersanity and mental health that comes into the subject matter. With hypersanity, it's a different way of the powers that should not be, and then there's another point where you are so sane you appear insane to everyone else. Some of the different terminology of hypersanity also inspires with a clock. You have sanity being a regular functioning member of society, being like a clock, i.e. to tick. Then you have insanity, which is a broken clock, unable to fit in with the mechanics of normal society. And then you have hypersanity, hyper-focused or hyper-sensory, seeing the understanding of the clock and the system, but standing back from it all. And sometimes it's just removing yourself from all the insanity of the real world. Hypersanity can come into a lot of different consciousness of understanding of different subject matters. It can come from anywhere between business, even to crime, and other subject matter. Though with the bringing it back to the book, I also found you can look at hypersanity in different interpretations. I've talked about Patch Adams and the real Patch Adams with hypersanity being seen as insane in normal society, but doing a lot of good.
Went through medical school with the idea I wanted to use medicine for social change, so I looked at medical problems and care delivery.
Well, the movie promised to build my free hospital and didn't give me a cent, so that part I didn't like. I did live in his home for 12 days and found him to be a wonderful, kind, and loving man. In the movie, it is my girlfriend that is murdered, and in real life, it was my best male friend, and I had to apologize to their family. The movie, for me, is very tame. My life has been a lot more outrageous than the film.
However, after knowing more about the real Patch Adams and what happened with the film Patch Adams, I can't look at the movie the same way anymore, because I feel the real person was let down.
The film promised to build our hospital. None of the profits from the film ever came to us. And so basically 40 years into this work, we are still trying to build our hospital.
Number 3, a comforting book. Well, I want to go with a book series this time. And what better way to start off with a cookie for comfort eating? I'm going to eat my feelings with a bag of choc chip cookies. Now, this author, Damien Hansen, has a different name. For his Fairy Knights books, he goes under the pen name James Handsome. He has written quite a lot of books. His son has also written a few books. I'll be reviewing them on this channel as well. Though, moving forward, he has a Fiverr account. If you are close to finishing with your manuscript and you're just about ready for the publishing phase, you can contact him. I'll leave a link in the pinned comments. He is a fantastic author, fantastic editor. His most popular series, By Mort, is doing quite well. Though for comfort, I enjoyed the Fairy Knight series. There's 4 in the series, and unfortunately it came to its end. Though, I will believe he will write some more children's books soon, but at the moment, By Mort is successful on the market. Number 4, an adventurous book. Well, for an adventurous cookie, I'm choosing Red Velvet. And for the adventurous book, Melissa Nash's book series, The Guardians of Magic. I enjoyed reading this one. I met her on TikTok, had some good correspondence exchanges. She also reviewed Dark Sparrow. But her book series, The Guardians of Magic, it's one book series that has been taken by storm. There's a lot of adults that have embraced it. It's written for middle grade readers, though it has a lot of good adventuring in the book. It starts off with autumn, winter, spring, and of course, summer. For a book series, it has a fantastic way how it's outlined. She also does a lot of other work for maps. So if you are looking at having maps within your book, she might be someone to make contact with. A lot of the technology that she uses and the details into the maps and how they she shows it on different videos on TikTok where it shows how it's zoomed out and then zooming in to be a lot smaller. It's so much work she puts into everything. I'm quite amazed. So as an author for adventuring, I inspire from this author, and I think Melissa Nash has a lot more to offer. Number 5, a book that blends 2 or more genres. I like to say Dark Sparrow because it's urban fantasy with science fiction elements. However, I can't really be biased in a book tag to my own book and just talk about myself. Therefore, the other thing, Dark Sparrow is for 15 years and older, and within this channel we're sticking more to middle grade books. I also would like to say there are some fantasy books that I'd like to argue that are urban fantasy, such as Howl's Moving Castle. It's also been adapted into a film. I enjoyed both. The film complements the book in one way, and the book complements the film in another way, even though there are some differences. I recommend both. Howl's Moving Castle is one of those books I say it's argued that it's a fantasy, but I argue that it's an urban fantasy because it feels like it's a 50-50 balance between our world and a fantasy world. Number 6, a book you love to hate when other people hate to love it. I would say just like the cookies, fig cookies. That's something entirely different on its own. You either like it or you don't. And with this one, I find there's parts of Twilight with the movies that I like and parts that I don't like. I'm 50-50 on it. And with the books, I find they're a drag. It's honestly a lot of pages, a lot of words, not leading the story anywhere, too much explanation, too much filler. There are a lot of different characters in the series, but it really comes to no point. The teen romance is frustrating. I don't agree with a lot of the content. I like the Jacob character. People say Team Edward, I say Team Jacob, just to be annoying. But even that, when it came to Breaking Dawn and imprinting his wolf thing onto their baby, that was something else. Like, age gap relationships like that and imprinting love onto that child, that is just wrong to put in any story. And with the context of where things were moving forward with the story to wrap it up, the only thing that I will say that I love the most about Twilight, besides hating Twilight, was the ending of the 5th movie where you thought it was the big battle and then it showed that it never happened at all. That was one of the most interesting and pointless twists that I've ever seen, where with the twist you have a love for how much it's annoying and also cool at the same time. I also felt like with the character, the Doctor, I engaged with him the most. Though with the companion book, that is something else I find even worse. There was no point to write a book from Edward's point of view, and a lot of people love the book, but looking through it, you're not really seeing any more different details except for a slight difference of opinion. I'm sorry, it was a waste of a read. Number 7. One of your all-time favourite books. I would have to say, with Cookie, Shortbread Cookies. They will only eat them at Christmas time. My all-time favourite children's book would be Grandad's Gifts. There was something about the book that was separated from the rest of Paul Jennings' works. He wrote a lot of short stories and different quirky stories that were aimed more of your younger readers, though Grandad's Gift just had something more authentic about the story. The illustrations I found were captivating, but this story was something else as a story that felt like a nice environment and a genuine effort to the story. I didn't like the TV show Round the Twist, where a lot of his stories and short stories were done as episodes for that show, though there was something else with this one episode that was connected to the original book that he wrote, Grandad's Gifts.
What's wrong, sweetheart? They were only lemons.
The fox's eyes! He just came back to life!
There was something about that one episode that was still captivating compared to the book to a TV show story. Finally, for the Girl Scout cookie tag, I tag back Book Chat with Pat. I'm leaving a link to her channel at the end of the video. Otherwise, that's it for today. Hit like, subscribe, comment. I'll be doing some more book tag videos soon and some other book reviews on middle grade books. Otherwise, that's another story and shall be told another time.